Do you want to do the intro or do you want me to do it?
Let's both do it.
Okay.
Okay.
Here we go. You ready?
On this episode of Getting Scarried Away, we do our favorites of 2024.
That's right. And we rented out an entire ass cabin to do so.
Ass cabin.
And we're filming this one.
Yeah, so you can see our beautiful faces.
Listen to the song. Getting Scarried Away 2024.
The only of 2024. There will never be another, and there has never been another.
That's right. I think that's actually true.
Yeah, that is true.
Spitting facts. Hey, everyone.
Hey.
My name is Ricky.
My name is Rhiannon.
And together we're married, and
Together we're Rick Cannon.
together we're Riaki.
Together we're Nick Cannon is what that sounded like.
And we are here at our home. Just kidding. We don't live here. This is a cabin that we rented out for New Year's because we're filming this on December 31st, 2024.
So we rented out this spooky cabin in the woods and we got this idea. It's actually not spooky at all. It's really, really lovely. It's a very wonderful, cozy place. But we decided, since it is a cabin in the woods, to just do a spooky episode.
Yeah, so here we are.
Here we are.
And we haven't recorded in a damn hot minute. Is
Okay.
that the Trouble Roll lyric?
Yeah.
Okay. What?
You almost just knocked over my water,
Yeah,
and
but I saved it.
that's really important to me.
Okay.
So yeah, we have not recorded. Well, that's a lie.
It is a lie.
We technically recorded earlier this week, and then we decided that we didn't want that episode, and we wanted to do this episode instead.
It was a lovely conversation, I should say. It's not that we didn't want it. It's that we forgot to mention so many things.
We forgot to
wanted
mention my favorite movie, which is actually really important to me that we talk about it. So, yes, we have to redo this. And we also recorded earlier this year, and those couple of episodes just went unreleased as well. I think that really we just love to talk to each other, and then we decide that nobody else needs to hear those conversations.
That's about right.
It's what ends up happening. So, and we talk to each other all the time. We just don't always record it.
Yeah, believe it or not, we do talk to each other.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. Not just right here, right now. We talk to each other, I'd say 15 hours out of every day.
15-hour days.
50.
That's what we're pulling.
I would say 15 hours out of a day, though, right? Out of a 24-hour day.
But we cap it at 15.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, if we go into 16-hour territory, it's
like, what are we doing here?
We're cut off.
We
sit in silence for the rest of the evening.
We are cut off.
That's a very niche joke for those of you who are Pitch Perfect fans.
Favorite horror movie.
Which we know you all are.
So
Pitch Perfect if you're listening.
Goodness, which you are. There's so much we could get into, but first and foremost, what is it about cabins in the woods that you love more than anything?
The smell of wood.
Same.
Yeah, I love the second we walked into this cabin, I was like, oh, hell yeah.
Oh, we're in a cabin right now.
Yeah, that smells nice.
Yes. And
I'm also very mesmerized, and obviously those of you just listening can't see this, but those of you watching us also can't see this. There's a real fireplace here.
Yes.
Well, a gas fireplace. But you can only leave it on for a couple hours at a time because it's pretty old. But we have a fireplace on the TV, like the Yule log or whatever. And it's mesmerizing on
is
this
captivating.
TV. So if you guys watching just catch me staring into the abyss, it's not a ghost. It's just the fire that's directly across from me right over here, because it's just so mesmerizing.
Yeah. And that's another thing I love about log cabins is the YouTube fireplace.
Yeah, you can only get that in a log cabin.
Try to take an iPad baby camping.
You are an iPad baby.
I am.
We were just talking about this.
It's a problem. We're using my phone right now to record the video portion. So I'm sitting here just like
You don't know what to do with your hands?
I don't. I'm just useless.
On our way here, we live about a half hour from this cabin that we rented out. So not far, because where we live, everything is about at least 20 minute, you would say, right?
Yeah, for sure.
At least 20 minutes. Unless we're literally going to the grocery store down the street. Like everywhere that we frequent is at least a 20-minute drive. So a half hour, not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So we live about a half hour away from this cabin. The amount of devices Ricky had in his lap for the drive here. I drove, by the way. He was not being unsafe. I drove here. And he had this new, what is it? Game Boy, I guess? I know obviously what a Game Boy is, but like what would you call that
It's like
device?
an emulator. So it plays a bajillion and a half video games from like back in the day. It's probably illegal, but it looks like a Game Boy.
That's their problem, not mine.
Well, I didn't purchase it.
Yeah, I mean, I did, but I don't know. What are they going to do? Come arrest me for buying something on the internet? Like,
for sure. Have you been online?
Is that how things work?
But I was trying to play.
It wasn't like a black market thing. It was just like a regular site.
I don't know where you do your Christmas shopping. First of all,
just on Google.
Yeah, because Google never let anyone astray. I was trying to play Resident Evil 2, but the screen kept going all staticky.
It's actually probably not illegal because it just doesn't work.
That's true.
They're just like, not illegal. Definitely doesn't work. That's
the joke's
okay.
on me.
So what? I got scammed.
L&L Limos is a scam. We are here to talk about some of what we loved about 2024, specifically the horror genre, and some of what we hope to see more of in the horror genre in 2025.
Yeah, and there was a lot in 2024, and there is expected to be a lot in 2025.
It doesn't stop.
We've really been spoiled for the past couple of years, and I think that we said this also last year when we did our recap, because last year we put out a recap as well. We got a little bit deeper into the recap last year than we are going to this year, because there was just so much we couldn't possibly name everything.
Right. And that's what we tried to do in our first round of recording this, is we tried to go we made whole tier lists of our 2024 horror movies. Oh no, the fireplace went away.
Oh, it's just an ad. That's okay.
It's an ad for...
This is my favorite ad, for a faucet.
Farrah Fawcett. It's an ad for Farrah Fawcett.
No, it's a Kindle ad. Which is very well placed on New Year's Eve, by the way, because everybody probably wants to do more reading in 2025.
Look at us stopping our content to watch this ad that
this
no
is
one
crazy.
else can watch.
So
good
anyways,
podcasters.
Also we just named the ads, which meant that we were we were advertising. We are not sponsored by either of those things or anything, by the way.
By faucets or ebooks. We're not sponsored yet.
Yeah. Faucets, if you're listening.
Which you are.
Sponsor us. So yeah, we are not going to do what we did in round one of this, which was name basically every horror movie that came out and say yes or no.
Good movie.
Yeah, like or dislike. Because there was a lot for me that was a dislike this year.
Ooh. Do you want to get into any of it?
Well, some of it'll be controversial.
Okay.
Some of it I think is pretty blanket across the board. Everyone was either very, I don't know, fine with it or disappointed by it. I heard a lot of negativity about The Watchers.
Oh.
Which you didn't watch.
No, I say not yet. I'm probably not gonna.
I mean, I wouldn't say that it was the worst movie in the world. Well, it definitely was not the worst movie in the world. It was just underwhelming. It didn't... I don't feel like it brought anything super special to the table.
Gotcha. And which is hard because 2024, the standard was
That's the thing. If it came out in another year where there wasn't a ton of content, I think that maybe people would have appreciated it more. But I also just think that, like, I don't know, a lot of M. Night Shyamalan recently, which
he was
is
busy this year.
which is totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
But like we all know, summer hits and summer misses. You know? I mean, not all of his stuff hits for everyone.
Sure.
One being Trap. I mean, a lot of people didn't like Trap. I loved it.
I thought it was fun, and I can see why people weren't into it. But I thought it was a good time. It had a lot of twists and turns. I mean, it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie. You kind of know what to expect, but
yeah, I mean, people really shat on the fact that it was, and this is other people's words, absolutely not mine because I don't feel this way, but basically like an advertisement for his daughter. And I think that that's fine.
Dude, I wish my dad would make a whole movie advertising me.
Yeah, that's
But
the
he's
thing.
not a filmmaker. So get working on that, Don.
Yeah, he's not a filmmaker. He could be though. He would research it.
He would crush. Are you kidding?
Yeah,
My dad
he'd be great
behind
at
the
it.
camera? Forget it.
Yeah.
Godfather Part 4.
What was the best Godfather Part 2?
Part 2.
So Godfather Part 2, Part 2.
The squeakquel. Oh, nice.
So really, I think that it's fine for you to utilize your platform for that type of thing. I
Why
mean,
not?
realistically, you know the movie's going to make money because you know that people out there love you.
Right.
And if a studio is giving you money and this is a movie that you want to make it.
Why not?
Who cares?
Who cares? We're all going to go see it. And
It's
if you're
just
not
like
going
when
to see
Malignant
it, you're
came
not.
out.
Dude, Malignant.
Like-
When was that? 2021? 22? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was somewhere in the early 2020s.
Broke the world.
But so many people were like, oh, what the hell was that? That was so stupid, blah, 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 blah. Cut to us in the theater, literally clapping. Like, it was amazing.
That was a theater experience I will never forget.
People were hooping and hollering unlike I have ever seen in a movie theater.
It was wild because if you haven't seen Malignant by now, first of all, watch Malignant.
Yeah, what are you doing? Don't go into 2025. Well, it's too late now.
It was the kind of movie that's best seen with a crowd, much like some of the movies we're going to talk about today.
Mhm.
And truly, it was one of those theaters where like everybody in the room was so amped and just excited to see
Us included.
a bonkers movie.
I mean, we were totally confused, but we saw it the day it came out.
Yeah.
I think it was the day it came out.
Yeah.
And we saw it. We had probably one of the best movie viewing experiences, I would say. So we were in Orlando, Florida for Halloween Horror Nights. So we were having like this whole big extravaganza of horror, I would say. And we decided to go to not the Regal on the Universal.
It was at City Walk, right?
Yeah, it was. So there's one right on Universal property, like the park property.
Yeah, no.
And we didn't go to that. We went to like the other one. I think
it was on Disney.
I think it's Disney property or something. But anyways, we went to a very main theater, and our friends who listen to this that were with us are going to be like screaming because they know it a lot better than we do. But so we went there. We already had it pre-planned, and once we got there, it was pretty full because it was opening week, at least, if it wasn't opening night. And we got there and everyone was just, first of all, so confused in the beginning at what was going on.
Oh, by the movie.
By the movie.
I thought you meant by like the theater.
No, everyone was so confused by the movie. And then it turned into, okay, this is just going to be like a party. And then people were just like screaming and cheering. And it was just so incredible because of the place that we were in the world. And then specifically like within that region, that theater, it was just such a great experience to be able to see that.
Yeah. Oh,
That was years ago. I don't know why we're getting so deep into Malignant. We're like taking this really deep walk down memory lane.
I wasn't going to stop you. I enjoy hearing that story.
Malignant memory lane.
Oh, but to jump off of that, let's talk about some experiences in the theater that stuck out this year for us. I know I can think of a few.
You can?
I sure can.
Bad?
I don't know about bad.
We've had bad theater experiences in the past year or so.
I will say I'm probably not alone in my pick for the best theater experience of the year, which is also my pick for best movie of the year.
The Substance.
The Substance. First time I saw The Substance was with our good friend Darcy. I couldn't see it with Rhiannon. Sorry, I just punched you.
Yeah, that hurt. Yeah, I had COVID, unfortunately, when Ricky saw it, and it was toward the end of the run of The Substance. So I told him not to wait for me and to go, and that Darcy would go with him. But yeah, it's funny. When I ended up seeing The Substance, like right before it left theaters, I don't feel like there was anybody in our theater.
No. Did somebody leave? Or was that a different movie that somebody walked out? Oh, it was when we saw
that was
Terrifier.
Yeah. Which we'll get to.
We'll get to.
But yeah. Oh, no. When you saw The Substance for the first time with Darcy,
yes,
those two women, the older women that were in there, wouldn't stop talking.
Oh my God. Darcy and I had to like take off our friendly hats and put on our big boss hats.
Yeah, which is usually my job when we're in the theaters.
Yeah, I don't like to be that person.
Yeah.
But these two people were full voice. Did you get enough popcorn? Is this a horror movie?
They had no idea what they were there for.
Like, clearly had never seen a movie, especially
and you
in a
said
theater
they were
before in their
quite
life.
a bit older.
They were older, but like, come on, folks. You've seen a movie before, have you not?
Yeah. Yeah. No.
And for The Substance, I was not willing to have any bit of my enjoyment stripped.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, I definitely think that just for the sheer fact that we were able to see it on a big screen with that sound quality makes for like a really wonderful theater experience. But I wouldn't say that there was anything particularly special about our experience in seeing that movie.
All right.
Just because there were no
Thanks for tuning in.
There were no like people in the theater like cheering or anything like that. Everyone's pretty silent.
You have some high standards for your theater experience.
Well, coming off that Malignant story,
You're
I think
right.
that we really should have some high standards.
You're right. Let's make a movement. 2025, if you're not clapping at least once in your movie theater, you should be kicked out.
Here's the thing. Here's why we didn't have the best movie theater experience in 2024. Because we didn't go to see Wicked.
We didn't.
Okay. Since we didn't see Wicked, I think that would have been the movie theater experience that we were looking for. Because, people are just really excited to see something like that.
If you're not singing along during your movie theater experience, you should be kicked out.
Now that's the standard. Actually, no, they had to put signs up in theaters not to sing along.
Don't you even think about it.
So much
Trina.
so that they had to make sing-along experiences and sell separate tickets to the sing-along version of the movie.
Can there be a sing-along version of The Substance? And I guess there's really no singing in it.
Yeah, really no singing.
Coralie Farge, if you're watching, which you are, next movie you make,
sing along.
Make it a musical.
If you know what you could do a workout along.
Oh, wait. Yeah, I like that.
They should do workout videos. They should release workout videos.
They should release workout videos.
I'd work out.
No, you wouldn't. Shut up.
I wouldn't.
You got bones like Cheetos.
I famously do not work out.
No way.
I hate a workout.
We'll be caught dead with a barbell.
Although today I did purchase an online workout membership.
You did because you had to. Because your card was expiring.
Yeah, because I had to use a wellness card by the end of the year.
Gotta use those points.
I'm not giving insurance their money back.
No, that's a whole other.
I'm using it.
Whole other podcast.
So, anyways, the substance was your favorite of the year. Talk about it.
It was, yeah.
Tell us specifically why.
I know it's probably, I mean, if you're a horror fan, you have heard all of the accolades for the movie by now. But to me, I felt like The Substance was the kind of movie that I never would have expected to see on a big screen in my lifetime. And I that probably sounds a bit grandiose, a bit dramatic, but it just took so many swings that a lot of horror movies that are straight to video take. I mean, some of the body horror that we saw in that movie will stick with me in a really great way. I mean, it's gorgeously disgusting, but I mean, seeing that kind of thing on the big screen is so like jarring,
and with such big names attached to it,
right?
And receiving all of the praise that it's receiving,
well deserved. And everybody in that movie was like chewing on the scenery. Like, you could tell that the cast was just fully in on the vision, and they were fully committing to the absurdity and the messaging behind the movie. It was so clear. Oh, we're getting another ad. What's it for? AI.
Boo,
oh no.
Boo.
Oh, I
Boo.
can't skip it. Oh, this is the worst day ever.
This is the worst.
All right.
New Year's
Although
Eve.
it's giving us great lighting, so thank you.
It is.
What was I saying? Oh, but yeah, I think that it just did a lot for the genre. I thought it brought a lot of new fans to the genre, which is incredible. And it got me to get a movie membership. So
yes.
Good job, movie.
We did get a movie membership.
Measurement.
That's just really hard to say.
A movie membership.
Movie membership. We did get a movie membership and shared it with my brother so that he could watch The Substance as well.
And there are a lot of great other movies on there. So thank you, Substance.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that it was an incredible movie. I think it is, and I'll explain in a second, I think that it is the best movie of the year. It was not my favorite movie of the year. It was very close.
Rhiannon, how does that make sense, though?
Tell us more. Ricky and I already had this conversation, so I'm just repeating it for you all. But so I think that in terms of movie quality, acting, story, everything, it was the best movie of the year. And it's pretty difficult to argue with how incredible it was. Whether you liked it or not, it's difficult to argue that it wasn't almost a perfect movie, if not perfect. And that so much really, really hard work went into it. However, there was just a movie for me that I find myself watching more regularly from this year because of how much I enjoyed it. And that's Late Night with the Devil.
Oh.
And I think that there's a lot of reasons for Late Night with the Devil being one of my favorites, and I definitely will not say that it's perfect, and I won't say that it's maybe even up to the standard of what The Substance was, but for me personally, it was my favorite because I feel like it's one of those movies that I have since it's come out, and I will continue to just put on whenever I want to watch something that I want to be like, I don't know, feel weird watching. Like get a feeling.
Right. And
I feel like that's the movie.
That movie definitely does that for me too. It's so you mentioned like it didn't I don't know, you put it in a much better way than I'm probably gonna ever put it, but
I blacked out. I don't even know what I said.
You say a lot of smart stuff. Good thing we have it on camera.
Good thing.
But you said that compared to The Substance, it has like in terms of like movie making quality, it's not the same.
Oh yeah, sure.
But I don't know, because to me it felt like Late Night with the Devil fully achieved going, like it went for that like 70s talk show documentary kind of feel, and I felt like it really pulled that off nicely, especially in a lot of the moments where there are like flashbacks or cutaways or whatever, it really did a really good job of capturing that vibe and weaving it all into the format that the movie was telling the story through.
The period aspects of it were amazing.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what the worst part of the movie is.
Oh,
the opening credits
are so long.
Of approximately 497 studios attached to that movie. I don't know what... I literally thought it was a joke.
We were sitting there in the theater, like we're getting trolled by the amount of opening credits we're getting.
I thought it wasn't going to end. Like I thought that was the movie. And then we were just going to get like a little short or something at the end of it. There were so many. It truly was comical and then became worrisome. Like I was like, oh my God, this is hilarious. Like a third one.
Can we get a fourth? Like, we got a fourth.
Wait, a 7? Wait, what's going on? Is this a joke?
Oh my gosh.
That's crazy.
Sitting in the theater during that moment, that's another unforgettable movie moment.
That was.
Movie theater moment. I'm never going to forget.
That really was. But I just, like you said, the vibe of the movie, like capturing David Dastmalchian is just like
a gem.
He's honestly perfect, and I think so that's it.
He is.
He's perfect. I think that he's so underutilized. I don't know, like I just want underutilized in leading roles.
Well, he's such a great character actor.
I know.
And he's made a career doing just that. And,
but I want it all him all the time.
I'm with you. After Late Night, give me more.
But there's so many things that, I mean, my favorite of him. And it's...
I don't. What is your favorite of his?
It's when he
Prisoners?
is... Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just...
He plays Disturbed really well.
Yeah.
I think he mentioned... I think he mentioned that his first role, or first speaking role maybe, was The Dark Knight. Can you fucking imagine that being your first? Mm-hmm. Like,
he's been in things before that. That was just his first speaking.
Maybe.
I've got to look him up.
I could just be pulling that out of my butt. So
his name is so similar to Dalmatian.
David Dalmatian. While you're looking that up, another film and movie theater experience I will never forget from 2024. Daddy Longlegs, baby.
What if it was called Daddy Longlegs?
Or just Daddy?
Daddy Long.
Daddy.
Daddy Legs.
Daddy Legs. Mr. Legs.
He actually, sorry, just really quick back on this David Dastmalchian conversation. He has not been in a lot of movies.
But the movies that he's been in, he makes
such an impact. That's the thing. Like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, this is crazy.
And Polka Dot Man, Suicide Squad, come on.
But every single movie that I've seen him in, he was just like so memorable that I really just want more. But yes, another icon, Nicolas Cage.
Daddy Cage. Look.
Longlegs was pretty high up on your list this year, right?
It was. I left that theater giving it 5 stars right away. No hesitation. I was saying how it was just a perfect movie. Wouldn't change a thing. Hard stop. I've since rented it, or not rented. I purchased it when it came out on VOD so that I could just get my fix whenever
Video
I
on
wanted.
demand for those of you.
Those of you playing at home. And so glad I did, because now I have Mr. Legs in my life all the time.
Mr. Longlegs.
It was not the most original movie in the world, but that's fine because
I definitely think that's fine.
It did what it needed to do. It told the story how it needed to be told. Micah Monroe, goodness gracious.
She's really having a moment.
She's been having a moment since It Follows.
But she is like...
It's been the moment.
What's crazy is there's not a lot of range I don't think in terms of like what she does with her acting.
You mean like it's all very similar?
Yeah, like a very
Style?
similar, like, well, really what it is, and obviously I don't know her personally, but I think it's just authentically her.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty simple and quiet. You know, she's not somebody who's going from, you know, like, I don't know. My brain is not allowing me to think of like an actress who has done like this crazy variety of stuff. But she's not somebody that's going from one thing and then the next movie she's doing is like completely different. Like her vibe in this movie, obviously her character was really different, but like very similar to It Follows and very similar to that other movie where she was in the car.
In the car.
Remember, did you watch that movie with me where she was like,
You're not talking about Watcher, are you? Because she was great in that too.
she was great in Watcher, but wasn't she in that one movie? And this is horrible for me to do this in this podcast right now. But with Avin Joja, is that how you say his name?
I don't know.
And she like was in the car with this guy on a date and she thought.
First of all, I hate the sound that my throat just made.
That was her though, right?
That was her. What was that movie? Oh my gosh.
Sorry for those of you playing at home. This is horrible. But anyways,
yes.
In The Watcher, in that movie, in It Follows, in Longlegs, all very similar, like
similar vibe.
I mean, I hate to use this word, but like victim. Like she's just like a quiet kind of like victim character. And I think maybe that's just because she hasn't gotten the opportunity to be anything else, or she's so good at being that people really enjoy seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it's just, I'm not saying any of this in a bad way. I think that it's really wonderful.
For sure.
How enjoyable it is to watch someone like be so good at that.
Yeah, definitely. Now, on the flip side, you want to talk about somebody who can fully transform.
Oh yeah, why didn't I just bring up him?
Nicolas Cage?
Yeah.
Because I'm good with those segues. That's why. He broke my brain. So terrifying, because he literally just said, fuck it, I'm going to be the scariest version of this character that I could possibly be.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody could have done that better than Nick Cage.
Yeah, I agree.
And you brought up a really great strength about the movie in the previous conversation that we had about his character, if you wanted to mention that.
Yeah, so I think one of the most complained about things, I guess you could say, but people's like biggest qualm with the movie was that they wanted it to be a Nicolas Cage movie and there wasn't enough Nicolas Cage. Like even though it was about him, you didn't like see him a lot. You saw him in a very limited way.
I would argue that the movie's not about him though.
Well, no, it's about her. But it's
with
about
it being called Longlegs, you would expect.
Yes, that's what I mean. Like it's, and the focus really is like they are hunting him.
Right.
Like the focus is toward him, even though it's not about him. That's where it leads. And with it being called Longlegs, and that's what they call him, people definitely did expect it to be a Nicolas Cage movie. And for Nicolas Cage enthusiasts, they wanted it to be really heavily about him. And most of the movies that he's in, especially the movies where he goes just like batshit crazy, he's very heavy. He's like 90% screen time.
Right.
So for everyone who loves him like that and who saw this movie because of him, I think a lot of people left feeling really disappointed because they were like, oh, it was too long for there to not have been enough Nicolas Cage. I'm here to argue that there was the perfect amount of Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, I would agree.
Because, and for anybody who has ever listened to our podcast before, you know that my biggest, I mean, I think that I genuinely say it almost every single time we record. My biggest issue with most horror movies and why they don't scare me is because they show whatever we're supposed to be scared of way too much.
Yeah.
And that exposure, I mean, like, exposure is truly a tool that professionals use to make you not afraid of something. So, like, there's exposure therapy out there. And when you are exposed to something that you fear too much, most of the time you're not afraid of it anymore. So when we see these creatures or people or whatever so often, we just become used to it and we're not afraid of it anymore. And I think that if we saw, honestly, even one more full minute of Nicolas Cage as that character, I'd be like, he's just a guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's just a guy. That's it. He's not scary anymore. Like, he looks creepy, sure, but I've seen him a lot. I'm not scared of him anymore. I think it was the perfect amount.
Long legs, more like short legs.
Nice one. I was trying to find this movie of Maika Monroe, and now I'm starting to think that it wasn't even her in that movie, and I'm feeling really embarrassed about it.
Oh no, because I agreed with you. That's embarrassing for both of us.
Anyways,
we also mentioned in our previous round of recording that nobody will ever hear that there should be a Nick Cage cut of Longlegs.
Where it's just the longer legs.
Long cut.
The longer legs.
Longer legs. I would pay for it. I would pay money. Bring it back into the theater.
We're saying it. Nicolas Cage, if you're listening.
So it's about that time for me to crack another LaCroix. So there we go.
Perfect.
Now, here's the thing.
I found it.
You found it.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to make this whole episode about this movie. It was called The Stranger. And it was Maika Monroe.
Oh, thank goodness.
And Avon Joja. I had to look him up because I knew that he was in it for certain.
Yes.
But yes, it was the two of them and it was called The Stranger. And it was honestly kind of good. I think it was
fun.
I think it was like a straight to TV movie, but.
And here's the thing. We love horror. We love horror so much.
And we love movies.
And
we feel so thankful that people keep making them.
Yes. Thank you for doing what you do. But we should say, us as horror fans, we love most horror. Even if it's bad, quote unquote. If it is bad, it's bad, and we will eat it all up. Yum, yum, yum.
However.
Okay, I like bad horror movies. Bad.
I like purposefully bad horror movies. I like most things. But I am going to complain about one from this year.
Tread lightly, Rhiannon.
I know. Now people can see my faces, so my face, so the stakes are even higher.
I can mute your mic anytime. I am in control.
Okay. I'm going to say something controversial from this year. There was one movie that I was wildly unimpressed with this year. And it was a movie that many people ate up.
Okay.
You know what it is.
I have a feeling.
Do you want to say it?
No, you say it.
And I'm so sorry, but it was Terrifier 3.
Oh, that's not what I thought you were going to say.
Oh, what did you think I was going to say?
I'll tell you off air.
No, tell me. Say it on air.
I thought you were going to say Nosferatu, but the more I think about Nosferatu, here's the deal. Great movie. One thing I would change about it, but that's for another episode.
Yeah. Yes. I think that Nosferatu was a great movie.
Visually, fucking candy.
Beautiful.
It is
literally one of the most beautiful movies I've ever watched.
The acting.
One of the horniest horror movies I've ever watched.
That
by the
movie has so many feelings in his crotch.
So many. Yeah. There are a lot of teenage hormones. Like that was the level of hormone going on.
And listen, we were here for it, okay?
Yeah. Beautiful movie. I think it was a little too long.
It was a bit long. We should probably do like, I would do a dive into Nosferatu.
I would love to do a dive into the whole of Nosferatu, not just that movie.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, like 1922, 1979.
Yeah.
Or is it 77?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The 70s
The Werner
one.
Herzog one.
Yeah, so we're going to save that. We just recently saw Nosferatu this week. I mean, it just came out. Well, we saw it the day after Christmas, but
Yule.
I think that it was a beautiful, beautiful movie.
Yeah.
There were things about it that I particularly was not a fan of, but I know that people who are Nosferatu is a hard movie for me anyways, because another thing that like Ricky knows about me, but not the public, I would say, is like vampires in general are not my thing. They've never been. So
and this is about as vampire as you get.
It's the vampire, I would argue. And so, or a version of the vampire.
Yeah.
But so there were definitely just like things that I didn't love. It was a gothic masterpiece. Like really, really incredible. But no, that was not the movie. And I would not like wind up that much for it, because I don't think that the Nosferatu community is as aggressive about their love for movies or their love for that franchise as Terrifier fans are. And I'm going to say flat out, I really love Terrifier. Like I love the original Terrifier. I thought that Terrifier 2 was really fun. Terrifier 3, again, very happy for all of you who loved it. It was not for me.
And like we've met the people who make those movies and
they're
have been in those
wonderful
movies.
People. Yes, I am not somebody to tell you not to watch something or to shit on anything. I just think with the good, there is also bad.
Yeah.
In terms of like what my personal taste is, and I just felt that Terrifier 3, was that also a movie that you saw without me?
No, I think it was just The Substance. Was it just The Substance?
I don't know. For some reason,
I saw it twice too.
Yeah, Longlegs you definitely saw twice. I don't know why I thought Terrifier you were. No, I think it just took us a long time to see it because I was not super excited about it.
Well, and yeah, that part for sure. And
so you were going to go see it without me, and then I decided to come.
Yeah. Oh, we're getting another ad. What's this for? What is this now? A PayPal service? No.
Yeah, I like PayPal.
That was a quick ad.
Yes, so that was the situation. I was not feeling super excited for it, and I don't know if maybe that clouded a little bit of my problem with it. Was I knew what it was going to do in terms of, I know that at this point, and rightfully so, because it is what the fans want, they are just working to one-up themselves. And for me, I just don't need that. And so I think that that's why I wasn't super excited about it. But there were other things, there were other very specific things about the movie that I really would have preferred that they just one-upped themselves with the body horror of it instead of like taking it in certain directions with the story, because I think that that's more of why I didn't like it than the fact that
some of like the lore that they rolled out. I feel you.
Yeah, because I think that some of the things that they did, and sorry guys, we're trying to be really vague because we don't like to spoil things, but I think that some of the things that they did with it, it took it out of what, and again, I don't make these movies, so obviously they can do whatever they want with it, but what in my mind the Terrifier franchise is, it like brought it to a different place that I personally do not feel like it needed to go. And that's just, I think it's just not something. Now the original Terrifier is a movie we'll throw on all the time.
Oh yeah,
you know, like we'll just watch it. we fall asleep to it. Whatever.
We're a bit kooky. We'll fall asleep to Terrifier.
We'll fall asleep to Terrifier. But yeah, Terrifier 3 is just not one that's going to be in my regular rotation. I also think that something that really made me less excited to see it, I don't know, I think like around the time it came out, I was just rebelling. I was pissed at the situation surrounding Terrifier. Just the fact that it was like, people are throwing up in the theaters again. And I'm like, no, they're not. Except for one person did leave our theater.
So the only two people who were in the theater with us.
I felt bad though, because they did not know. So we were in the concession line behind them, and it was a father and son. And the son, I got the impression that the son was under 18. So that the dad had to come with him. And the kid working the concession stand had asked what movie they were going to see, and the kid seeing the movie. And I say they are kids that work there and that were seeing this movie. But the teenager that was going to see this movie had said Terrifier, and they had, talked about like, oh, have you ever seen any of the other ones? And the teenager had said that he had seen them, but kind of alluded, and I was just very loosely hearing this conversation because I was behind them in the concession stand, but had alluded that his dad had not seen them before. And Terrifier 3 is a rough one to start with if you're being introduced to the franchise.
Yeah.
So he did end up kind of, I think he said something a couple times. They stuck it out for a good half hour, I'd say.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of that movie.
That's a lot of Terrifier to sit through if you're not willing to sit through it.
Yeah, but then eventually they did get up and left. And I think that, I just felt bad for the dad because I'm like, oh, that's a tough movie to.
But now we're among that group of people that can say people walked out of Terrifier when we saw it.
But that was bothering me because that was like great marketing for the second one. For the third one, I was like, okay, but we just did this. Like, we just did this with the second one. We understand that it's not for everyone. And also, like, people who have seen 1 and 2 aren't walking out of 3. You know what I'm saying? Like we all know what we're in for.
You're already roped in.
And that's just me being a Scrooge. Like, it's great. It works for them. That's awesome. Theaters were like, I don't know, selling puke buckets or something like that. I heard at one point. Totally fine. It was just annoying me because I'm like, I'm not walking out of that. But what really pushed me over the edge was when they announced 4 while 3 was still in theaters. That
I know that's not your favorite thing in the world.
I was like, ooh, ooh, ooh. Now you're not letting us enjoy the one that's here.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're rushing us to the next one. And I did not like that feeling. And so I was just to myself, it was doing nothing for anybody else, but I was just like protesting going to see it. And that's why it took us so long to go see it.
I understand that though. Like when a movie comes out, you just want to like be able to experience it. That story alone by itself.
Yeah.
I don't want to be thinking about what's to come unless we're supposed to be thinking about that. Like if we knew there was going to be like, I don't know.
Like Wicked. There was clearly stated that it was going to be a part 1 and 2.
Right.
And the movie is more heavily influenced by the book than like the stage production. And so, I mean, the stage production is based off the book too, but it's just like longer because it's closer to the book.
Yeah.
So people knew that there was a part 1 and part 2. So when they announced that part 2 would be released, people also knew that they filmed it like all
together
continuously. Yeah. So I don't think like that was bothersome for me because we all knew what we were getting. Mm-hmm. And I say that as somebody who hasn't even seen Wicked yet, so so I shouldn't even be talking about it. But yeah, when we're talking about just like a franchise announcing the fourth. Just like I needed a second to breathe.
Yeah, I totally get that. To me, it seems like the Terrifier franchise is doing it's making similar moves to what like the Friday the 13th franchise did back in the day.
And you know that the Friday the 13th franchise bothers me too.
And it's one of my favorite franchises.
Yep.
But from what, again, without spoiling the movie, when the Friday franchise was, huge in the 80s and 90s, the movies were getting more, or the stories in the films were getting more and more outlandish and just crazy and over the top, because that's what audiences demanded. And for Terrifier, it's starting to show similar things. I mean, when supernatural elements or otherworldly elements make their way into a story that otherwise hasn't been supernatural or otherworldly, then it's like, oh, okay, that's where we're going. Again, much like what Friday did. So,
what's my least favorite Friday?
I think it's part 6.
Which is?
Jason, I think that's Jason Lives, maybe? Or is that 7? Oh, God.
I don't know them by the number. Jason Takes Manhattan is my least favorite.
I love Jason Takes Manhattan.
So here's the thing. If Art the Clown goes to Manhattan, I'm done.
Listen, and I will be there day one. I'll be there day one.
I'm just kidding.
Wearing an I Love New York shirt.
Now, if Art the Clown goes to space, that one's one of my favorite ones.
Terrifier X. Let's go, Damien.
Terrifier X.
Come on.
Because that Jason X has many of my favorite moments from that whole franchise.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah. So we could do that. If Art goes to space, I'll be back on board. And I'm not saying I'm absolutely not saying that I'm off the Terrifier train. It's just for this year, if we're talking about our favorites, I will just throw that in there as one that I was not as happy with as I was with so many other movies. And again, that could have been because that's also like not my favorite genre.
Yeah. And
or like subgenre of horror.
Right.
I really like the Late Night with the Devils and Oddity. I loved Oddity.
We should talk about Oddity.
I also want to mention some like, I guess horror adjacent, like we would maybe consider them more of drama or thriller.
Oh, yeah.
My favorite movie of the year, actually.
Is it 1, 2, 3?
Woman
Caddo
of the
Lake?
Hour.
Oh, really? I thought it was going to be Caddo Lake.
Caddo Lake was pretty close for me, but Woman of the Hour gave me similar vibes to Late Night with the Devil, actually. So Late Night with the Devil was definitely my favorite horror movie. Woman of the Hour. I will just say, I think that Anna Kendrick is a genius.
I agree.
In terms of what she did with that movie. And when I say the word genius, I mean regular person, because she didn't do anything groundbreaking with it in the best way. Like, she didn't try to make it anything extraordinary. But what she did do was capture exactly how every single woman has felt, at least, and at the very least, 5 times in their life.
Ugh.
Like, with so many different scenes. And that's what I think is so perfect about what she did, is that like every scene probably resonated with a different woman watching it.
Wow.
And I said to you when we were watching it, and I'm going to spoil a little bit because I need to say this specific part of it. So if you haven't seen, fast forward like 30 seconds. But
in the video, there will be time markers.
Yeah.
If you want to jump to it.
So yeah, about 30 seconds. But the part where he is following her to the car after they go out, so he like wins the game show and asks, why wait until our like set up date? Why don't we just go out and grab a drink now? And during that time period, she realizes that this is not a situation she wants to be in. He wants to stay for another drink. She somehow, without him seeing, signals the waitress, and the waitress is literally the person you always want in your corner when you're on a bad date. And she tells him that it's last call and they can't order another, or that they missed last call and that they can't order another. She's walking back to her car in this huge empty lot, and he's following her after she gives him the wrong phone number, and he threatens to kill her under his breath, which is so creepy. But even if he didn't do that, he's then following her to her car. And during that moment, you started feeling so uncomfortable, and you were audibly like making sounds of discomfort.
I didn't like that.
And I turned to you, and do you remember what I said?
You said, this is what every woman feels like in this scenario.
I said, this is what every woman feels like every time we walk to our cars at night.
That's fucked. That's so awful.
But the fact that she made you feel, as a man who does not feel that in a regular... I mean, how many times do you call me on your way home from something and you're like, I'm just going to stop at the store? And it's like 9 o'clock at night.
9 times out of 10.
I would never, unless it was an emergency, stop at the store alone at 9 o'clock at night.
Wow.
Unless it was an emergency. And the fact that she made you feel that, as someone who does not live in that world, is every single thing I could have asked from that movie. Even if that was the only thing that it brought to the table. And it brought so much more. But she just, from her perspective, from a female perspective, living in that situation, and making a movie like this, she put so much focus on what a piece of shit he was. And
well, it should be noted too, I don't know if you mentioned it already, that she, for those unfamiliar, wrote, or did she write this? She definitely stars in it and directed it.
Yeah, oh yes, I'm sorry, I didn't say that. She stars in it and directed it.
I don't know what the
she
writing
didn't. No. She didn't write it. She might have rewrote some parts of it, but she didn't write it.
But to tell the story that well while wearing that many hats.
Oh, absolutely.
Crazy.
And making your directorial debut and doing it this amazing.
Yeah.
But the thing is, this man, this horrible serial killer, won with his charm this dating game. And what she did so differently from every other, I mean, you could literally close your eyes and point your remote at the TV and you would hit a true crime show. Like,
yeah,
there are so many of them. True crime shows, documentaries, movies, dramatizations, whatever. They're everywhere. And as someone who watches so many of those, what they do 9 times out of 10, and 9 times out of 10, it's men directing these, which I think actually does say a lot, is they're like, ooh, look how like hot or charming or charismatic this person is. And like, look at all the parts that lured these women in. And there's none of that. They show you that like he did that, but you still felt gross watching it.
Yeah.
And it showed how instantly gross and uncomfortable these women felt around him. And they did not say, we want you to really fall in love with this guy so that then we can show you like why all of these women fell for his trap. No, we're not. Anna Kendrick did not come to play with this movie in terms of like victim blaming.
Right.
She was not saying, well, yeah, but it's okay that they fell for his ruse because he was just so charming. No, like he killed them because he was a killer. And that is the only reason not because they went with him willingly. Which, not to say that people in this situation didn't, but she did not glamorize that. And I think that that's what's really important and what sets it apart. And for all of those reasons, again, not a perfect movie. It was my favorite movie of the year. Late Night with the Devil was my favorite straight horror movie of the year. Because I definitely do think that Woman of the Hour was more of like a drama thriller. But I gave it 5 stars. I thought that it was incredible. I know that that's not the opinion of everyone, but for someone who consumes a lot of true crime in many different ways, podcasts, books, shows, documentaries, everything, I just think that she did such an excellent job with this in the feeling, in making you feel so uncomfortable by that situation. And it made me cry every time I've watched it. And I think that that is just like something that no other movie has done this year. Was
maybe
like
Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think you're right. But yes, Caddo Lake was a close second. I think that was a really, really well done movie. And I think that Dylan O'Brien was incredible.
God. Dylan O'Brien.
What a babe, by the way.
Fucking hunk that guy is.
Dylan O'Brien.
Ugh.
What
Chef's
is he from?
kiss. Teen Wolf.
Teen Wolf. Wolves, another thing. Not for me. So
what the hell are you talking about, Loca?
I just saw Twilight for the first time this year, and it's because Ricky made me.
We watched the Twilight franchise start to finish.
We did. But Wolves and Vampires, not for me. I never.
It's okay to have a wrong opinion.
Yeah. Well, I know you were like a huge Teen Wolf fan.
I was. Still am. Well, not. I was. And I didn't.
He still is.
Listen, Dylan O'Brien.
I thought he was like a Disney Channel kid.
No.
That's like kind of like the vibe I got. But
well, he kind of plays that kind of character in Teen Wolf. It's like very like
But what is Teen Wolf? What? No. I'm sorry. Not what is it, but like, where did it come from? Is it like an ABC Family?
MTV.
MTV.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah, I know nothing about it. You did make me watch one episode.
I did.
I did not continue.
But it definitely wears its age on its sleeve.
Yeah. You said, this is literally my favorite show. You have to watch it. And I said, oh, okay. And then we watched it and I was judging.
Whatever. But are there any other movies from this year or shows from this year? Anything from this year that you want to mention? I will say this too. I know I just asked you a question and then I didn't wait for an answer.
What do you think? Never mind. Anyway, moving on.
Well, my brain's not good, so sometimes I have to just get all the thoughts out.
We were going to talk about Oddity.
We were.
Yeah.
But I just want to mention quickly that we will probably be posting some loose individual rankings of our favorite horror movies from this past year.
Yeah.
I know I will, probably on my Instagram, which is just at Ricky Needham. And
yeah, I probably won't post it, but maybe we'll post it on our Getting Carried Away Instagram too, just for people to see and review.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. We are coming kind of close on time, but I would love to know your thoughts on Oddity.
Yeah, Oddity I thought was so special for what this year had to offer, because I think what happens in this franchise, and just like everything else, horror gets a lot of has been in the past however many years. I mean, it's always had its community, but that community has been growing as horror has become more mainstream and has been getting more attention. And I do think that that's only going to be amplified after this year because of what The Substance did for the genre, and some other things. But so all of that to say, what happens is that studios throw more money at these directors and the people who want to make these horror movies, and they tell them to go crazy with all of this stuff. And what Oddity did was none of that.
Yeah.
And I loved it. They just made this super simple, very eerie movie. That again, and that, for me, that is what I love about a horror movie. That's what I loved about the original The Strangers. We won't even talk about this year's, but the original movie The Strangers with Liv Tyler. The simplicity and the feeling of discomfort that you get, like, first of all, I don't know if I should be watching this.
Yeah.
And second of all, this is like, if I was in this situation, I would get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like, those two feelings, I think, are only achieved with simplicity.
I agree.
Because, I mean, even just the situation that we're in right now, sitting in this cabin, it's simple, right? It's not like all of the cabinets are flying open. The scariest thing that could happen in this cabin is for somebody to enter it. Right?
Don't say that.
I'm so sorry. But like, that's scary. That like simple act of just like somebody or something who's not supposed to be there being there is so scary.
Yeah.
And Oddity did that visually, audibly, auditory.
I would say
auditorially.
So. The sound design is
the sound design is incredible. Yeah, I don't know.
It felt like an Are You Afraid of the Dark episode for adults.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, in the best way.
In the best way. It was literally a very dark movie. If you're into like shadowy creepies, Oddity is definitely a movie to check out. Much like a lot of like what Hereditary did, especially with darkness.
Yes.
This movie does very well. With shadows and
like turning the light off and seeing the grandma in the corner in Hereditary.
Mm-hmm.
Like that
seeing
sort of
things
did I see that?
Right. This movie does a lot of that very, very well.
I love when you and I are watching a movie together and something like that happens and you're like, oh my God, did you just see that? And I'm like, no, what? Rewind it.
Favorite.
That's why we like to watch movies at home too, because I'm like, oh my God, you have to rewind it. And I have to talk through it.
Yeah.
But like, you know, not talk through it, but like talk about it.
Yeah. Unpack.
Yeah. Yeah. We like to real time unpack, which would definitely drive some people crazy.
Absolutely.
We can't watch movies with everyone.
No, we shouldn't watch movies with anyone.
We shouldn't, except for each other, because we're very much on the same page.
If you want to watch a movie with us, let us know.
Yeah. Except for we were watching that one movie and I was like making a comment about every little thing and you said Rhiannon.
Oh, what movie was that? I can't remember now.
It was that really bad one with the teenagers that we just watched.
Really bad one with the teenagers. Oh, Drive-Thru?
Drive-Thru.
With a young Penn Badgley?
With the clown. Horny the clown. Horrible. Horrible. And I was really excited about that because that came out the year after John Tucker Must Die, which was like peak Penn Badgley for me in my teenage years.
Yeah, that night you wanted me to play that movie on, You wanted me to put that movie on for you while you fell asleep.
John Tucker Must Die.
Yeah.
Well, after seeing Drive-Thru, I had to get that Penn Badgley out of my brain and get good Penn Badgley back in there.
We got another faucet commercial.
They're really trying to get us to buy these faucets. We have one. We don't need another.
Yeah, get over yourself.
So, any other movies that we want to cap this off with? I mean, obviously, and we told you this wasn't going to be exhaustive. There are so many incredible movies that came out this year.
It was a stacked year, and there are still so many that I didn't get to see. Strange Darling has been on my list for a minute. Still haven't watched that. So there's always going to be something that we didn't catch. So if there are things on this list that you didn't get to hear talked about, or you just want to get our thoughts on,
Yeah.
shoot us a message.
Because we really only talked about like 4 movies.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We talked about our top 3, which was really the goal for this.
Right.
I would say our top 3.
Yeah, because
definitely mine.
My favorites dip into yours as well. So yeah, for sure.
Well, our top 4, Longlegs was in there too. Longlegs.
Mm-hmm. Papa Legs was, I would say, Daddy. I would say Longlegs was probably my second favorite horror movie of the year.
So The Substance and then Longlegs. And mine was The Substance being the best movie of the year, but Late Night with the Devil being my favorite. I would say that Oddity and Longlegs were probably tied for my second favorite. That. Yeah, I don't know. The Substance is just in its own category.
I feel that. I totally get it.
Mm-hmm.
That's our episode.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't done this in a minute, so thanks for bearing with us while we got the rust off of our bones.
Yeah. And thanks for bearing with us and watching us while we were consumed by this couch. This is the, like, I don't know what word I'm trying to say. Like, I've never sunk into a couch so much in my life.
We've been enveloped by this leather.
We're a part of it now. So the next time we record, we'll just have our face popping out like Elizabeth Sparkle.
What we like to do with our podcast is end each episode with a bit of advice. So, Rhiannon, do you have any advice you'd like to offer to our listeners?
Yes, I would say as we go into the new year, just exist in your best way. New Year's resolutions are great if you need them and great if you want them, but don't feel pressured by what everyone else accomplished in 2024 or hopes to accomplish in 2025, because we are all in a different car on the same train. And I think that life is the shortest and longest thing that we will ever experience. So don't let somebody else's life dictate where yours is going to go.
Love that. My advice is the exact opposite. So
make hundreds of New Year's resolutions.
Make resolutions, make enemies, and make money. Folks, my name is Ricky.
My name's Rhiannon.
We love you. We appreciate you. We love horror. We hope you do too.
And we hope to see more of you in 2025.
Yeah.
And we hope you want to see more of us and hear more of us in 2025.
Because we're not going anywhere.
Bye.